Hi guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to drag and drop elements using Selenium WebDriver for Java applications. So you probably heard of Selenium WebDriver, the widely popular browser automation library, right? Did you know it has the ability to allow users to stimulate a drag and drop event? If not, keep watching to find out how. So this is a demonstration of what's going on here. We're trying to drag an element and then drop it to another element using Selenium WebDriver. So this is going to be a short tutorial video, and basically we're going to use this example application to build out what we're going to build out, which is going to be a single Java class that has this Selenium drag and drop feature. So you can start by following along with my example application, or you can implement this in your own Java application. Whatever you do, make sure that it is indeed a Java application. And if you choose to use my application, then just clone my project, click download zip, and open up your project in Eclipse or IntelliJ. And I'm going to be using Eclipse for this video. And once you have imported your project, just open it up, go to the source package, and then you can see Selenium drag and drop class. This is the class that we're mainly concerned with for this tutorial. And before running our class, we have to set up some environment variables. As you see here, Gecko driver path and Firefox path are environment variables that need to be defined. And in order to define them, just go to run configurations, select the JUnit tab. If you don't have this, you can create it up here, new launch configuration. And then the one I have set out for this execution is called Selenium drag and drop. Just open it, go to the environment tab, and you can see my environment variables. So what you need to do is set the Firefox path environment variable and the Gecko driver file path environment variable with this exact key value, and this file path is going to be unique to your local system. So make sure you locate firefox.exe and you locate geckodriver.exe. If you're wondering where to get Gecko driver in Firefox, let me show you where. So it's right here. So Mozilla Gecko driver, you can get it at this URL. Just search Gecko driver download and you'll come across this. This is the first link in the search results. Find your matching OS version and then download it. Extract it to a familiar location and then reference it in your Eclipse configuration settings. Similarly, you can download Firefox from their mozilla.org page and then again reference that firefox.exe executable file in your run configurations. So now let's cover our actual Selenium drag and drop class. So right now we have a before method. So this method this method will be run before the main test is run. And the purposes of this method is to establish the properties for Gecko driver. It needs the Gecko driver executable path to be set to Gecko driver WebDriver Gecko.driver property, along with the Firefox path set to Firefox.bin. Finally, we instantiate the Firefox driver class to the driver variable. Next, we'll cover the drag and drop element test. So over here, we're instantiating driver with Firefox driver. And next, we are getting driver.get, and it contains a URL. So this URL is the URL that is containing the drag and drop element that we're looking for. So let me show this here. So as you see here, once you go to accepted elements, you can see that this feature right here is what our drag and drop class is based off of. Next, we have a implicit wait. So we wait 5 seconds. So this is for the purposes of indicating Selenium WebDriver to wait 5 seconds so that it allows the page to load, because sometimes there can be a brief lag time. Next, we're going to call a driver execute script and click. So this is usually not the main way to do this. Mainly, we do accepted. So usually what we do is click like this. So we have an XPath to the ID accepted elements. In case you're wondering, we're referencing this element. So we start out at this tab. We want to go to this tab. And if we do an inspect on this element, we can see that it has an ID of accepted elements. We're using that ID as an identifier in our XPath. XPath is basically looking for this ID with this value. So then we find that element and we save it and we assign it to a web element class. Next, we can call click, but this doesn't work in my environment for some reason. Instead, we're going to use this workaround where we call driver execute script, and we're going to use some JavaScript to click on this element, this web element. Next, we're going to have to work with iframes. So if you notice here, this tab is contained within an iframe right here. And there are many iframes in this page. There are over 10. There's about 11 iframes in total. So see, this is the iframe that we want to target. But there are also other iframes, like such as this one, which we don't want to target. So how do we specifically target the iframe that we want? Well, it's basically by using the data source attribute. If you see here, this iframe right here has a specific data source attribute. So you can see it has accepted elements.html as its finishing value for data source. So we use that accepted elements.html to reference what we want. So we're saying we want an iframe with the data source attribute set to this value. And we use CSS selector, which is similar to XPath but not quite XPath. Then we assign that iframe to this iframe variable. Now we're going to switch to that frame. So switch to is basically what enables Selenium WebDriver to switch to an iframe that we want. Otherwise, Selenium does not know that there is an iframe and inside it is the stuff that we want to do. The default value for the frame method is usually 0, but this won't work because we have over 10 iframe elements. So because of that reason, we need to pass in a specific iframe element, which we have identified right here. So we've identified accepted elements.html as the iframe as we want, and then we pass in that iframe to Selenium switch to.frame. So we're basically telling Selenium, hey, we want to switch to this specific iframe, i.e. this specific iframe right here, this one. So now once we switch to that, we're going to search for the IDs draggable and droppable. If you see here, you can see that this div has an ID of draggable, and this div has an ID of droppable. So this is you drag it to here and you drop it. And we need to identify those elements in order to manipulate them. Then we call a implicit wait. So basically wait 2 seconds. And then we're going to call actions. And basically we're calling actions so that this action will allow us to drag and drop our drag element to our drop element. So we're saying move to element, drag and drop action, drag element, and then drag and drop method. This is the element to be dragged, and this is the destination element that you want to drop it to, and then build and then perform. So this drags and drops the element to the drop element location. Next, we call implicit wait for 5 seconds. And then what we usually do is say driver.quit. But for the purposes of this demo, I want to show you how the actual execution looks like. And if we call driver.quit, that would exit the Firefox window. For this purposes, I'm not going to call it driver.quit, but you can do that as if you're not having the same use case. Next, all we have to do now is just run. So let's see if this works. Sometimes it comes into a bug. So here's the first window. Here's the second window. And as you see right here, you can see that it went into accepted elements and then it dragged and dropped the draggable element into the droppable element. So it basically went like this. So that's basically the drag and drop feature using Selenium WebDriver. Congrats if you managed to get this functionality working. And hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, consider liking the video and subscribing to my YouTube channel. If you have any comments or criticisms, or if you have confusion or a doubt, you can leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll try to get back to you if I find the time. Thanks again for watching my video, and I hope to see you in the next one.